Hello, my project is to add mirroring for remote repositories in RB Gateway. The first thing I had to do was figure out what RB Gateway is and how it works. So basically, RB Gateway lets people, including Review Board, to interact with Git repositories through its API. So here you can see I'm using HTTP to interact with my Review Board Gateway server running on port 8888. So I can get things like a list of repositories branches. So I've got two branches on this test repository, one master, one not master. I can also get a list of repositories commits. So here are all the commits that went into my test repository. It's all very useful stuff like that, and there are quite a few more methods. So here's what it looks like on the receiving end of my server. So let's go take a look at the config file. So here's where all the important information that Review Board Gateway uses is located. So the port number is here, username, password, and here's where the repository information is stored. So as you can see, my Review Board Gateway server has access to two repositories. One is the test repo, and my other one is the initial clone repo that I'm using for cloning testing. So as you can see, here's their location, their paths. They are both Git repositories, which is the only kind of repository that Review Board Gateway currently supports. And as you can see, I've added a mirror option. So this is where you place the upstream remote URL. In this case, I want repository initial clone to mirror what I've got on GitHub. So the first step I want RB Gateway to take is, if there isn't an existing local copy of a repository, to clone one from the mirror URL. So in this case, if initial clone doesn't exist, I want RB Gateway to clone it from GitHub. So we're in the test directory, which is where initial clone is supposed to be located. As you can see, it is not there. So I'm going to restart my server. And if all goes well, initial clone should have been cloned successfully and should appear in the test directory. So I've added a couple of print statements. So here's the repository that is supposed to be cloned, initial clone. Here are the these functions are used for the SSH verification steps. And it appears that the repository was successfully cloned. So let's take a look at the test directory. So as you can see, initial clone is now in the test directory. And the README, the only file in initial clone, is there. So initial clone was successfully cloned from GitHub. Now I've also added a get mirror method to the API. So once again, I will be using HTTP to send a GET request to my Review Board Gateway server. This one is... So I can send a GET request to my server and to obtain the mirror URL if it's defined. So as you can see, if I send a GET request for initial clones mirror, I get initial clones mirror. But if I try to send a GET request for a repository that does not have a defined mirror, such as test repo 1, I get a mirror not defined message. So that's pretty much what I've done so far. Thank you for your time.